Hey, Bills Mafia, welcome to tonight's show where we're going to be discussing the Commanders versus Buffalo Bills a little bit further here. Ed Oliver is currently second in the NFL with total pressures, one spot ahead of Chase Young. We all know Chase Young on this Washington Commanders defensive line, along with Montez Sweat, Payne, Deron Payne, and Allen, a ferocious D front here for the Washington Commanders, and we need to discuss it because the weather, I'm going to show you here in a second, the weather is looking pretty horrible at FedEx Field. And I'm going to pull it up in a second here and show you guys, but it is looking really, really bad. Let's just see if I can get this AccuWeather pulled up. You could see Saturday, tropical rainstorm Amphalia, right? So high weather alert. It's going to be coastal flood advisory, lots of weather. And there's a reason why I'm bringing this up, because typically the Buffalo Bills are not known to be great in bad weather, right? Josh Allen, this high potent passing attack, throwing the ball typically downfield in those middle routes. I really think we struggled. We struggled with completion percentage, and we've struggled at times. So this weather is definitely something to be concerned about. And obviously, you see the title of today's video, Buffalo Bills commanding the Washington Commanders. And that is exactly what we're going to have to do this game in order to beat them. Because really, the recipe to win this game is really going to be to run the ball, make sure you don't turn the ball over, still try to maintain that high completion percentage. And some people in Bills Mafia, I think, are taking this game awfully lightly. The fact that we're away, right? The fact that we're in a different stadium. And my video that I released today, I hope you saw it, but this is Sean McDermott's 100th game starting as a head coach. When you look at all the other coaches on the Commanders right now, I mean, Ron Rivera is who Sean McDermott learned from pretty much. We know how long Ron Rivera has been in the league. And then you look at Jack Del Rio, their defensive coordinator. Jack Del Rio played 160 games as a player in the NFL. And then he was a coach of the Jaguars and kind of bounced around the NFL as head coach, as defensive coordinator. And Eric Bieniemy is freaking awesome. We saw him in Kansas City with Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And sure enough, his history goes all the way back to when Sean McDermott and him were coaching on the Eagles. So we know the expertise. He's been in the league just as long as Sean McDermott. So they have a ton of coaching experience on that side of the football compared to Sean McDermott, who's our head coach, our defensive coordinator, compared to Ken Dorsey, who's just in year 2 as OC for the Buffalo Bills. It's definitely something to keep our eyes on. But Captain, comments, questions, concerns, I forgot to mention that. Even if you're not live watching this, drop them below. Let me know your thoughts on this game. We're going to be discussing it here tonight. But Captain says we need to keep running the ball well. I totally agree with that. James Cook, Latavius Murray, Damian Harris, we definitely are going to have to establish the run this game. And that really is the big difference going forward here. Horrible, cruddy weather games, especially wet games. It's statistically proven over and over and over again. The data it says it over and over again that receiving yards, passing yards go down in wet games. Okay. Maybe not wet and wind really affect the games the most. So knowing that, the Bills really haven't had a running attack in years past. We haven't had 12 personnel in years past. And Dawson Knox looks like to be a go this game. Everyone looks like to be a go. Everyone was a full participant in practice today for Bills Mafia. So that's absolutely dynamite. I know some people were worried about the 12 personnel. We ran 13 personnel last week with 3 tight ends out there. We actually called a play action off of it, held 2 of those tight ends back, and had 7 people in pass protection. It's just absolutely unbelievable. So I know the Bills are definitely going to have to run the football in this game, not only because of the bad weather situation here, but because of this defensive line, right? having them just tee off on Josh Allen. And Ron Rivera had his press conference interview today talking about the Buffalo Bills, knowing that they have to be gap sound in their pass rush because of Josh Allen's escapability. But he also mentioned that he wants to cater Josh Allen to his left, right? He wants Josh Allen to escape to his left. So I think he's going to cater his pass rush to the right to force Josh Allen to escape towards his left, because he said Josh Allen rolling to his right is just something you don't want to see. He's dynamic, and when you get him rolling to the left, he's a lot less effective. And it's true. I mean, rolling on a full out sprint to your left and throwing that way is a lot harder than going right as a right-handed quarterback. So Ron Rivera specifically coming out and saying that in this press conference interview that he's going to force Josh Allen to scramble left. I think, Bills, we have to listen to that and still scramble right. Josh Allen still needs to prove his escapability in this game. He needs to escape from guys like Chase Young and Montez Sweat. And Steve Tasker, Chris Brown had a great interview today with Greg Cosell. And Greg Cosell said, hey, look, you can't just assume that they could pass rush from the ends, because they could pass rush from the interior. And he said, as soon as you double up on Chase Young, you're one-on-one with someone else, right? And they could also beat you just on the inside. So we had to take a look. Osiris Torrance entering his third NFL game, but really going against some top-notch talent here. I mean, Quinnen Williams against the New York Jets, his first snap against Quinnen Williams, Cybo, it was a pancake. He pancaked Quinnen Williams. I hope you guys saw the game film study review I dropped on my channel. But Osiris Torrance versus Deron Payne versus Allen, versus these top-notch players for the Commanders, it's going to be absolutely crazy to see. It's going to be crazy to see. Now, Deron Payne was dealing with a little bit of an injury. He was a little bit limited this week, but Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat definitely leading the way for the Washington Commanders. But Oh, wait a second. How about now? Hopefully we're good right now. Hopefully we're good. I think I got it. I reset it. I apologize, guys. Sincerely apologize for the inconvenience there. Um, just let me know. Type a 1 in the chat if you guys could hear me. I think I figured this out. Absolutely crazy. I got the microphone here. I think the cord popped out. So now I just got it wrapped around my finger. Appreciate it, Sophia. I appreciate that donation too last night. It was so generous of you. Really, I kept thinking about it today. It was very, very nice of you. Carl, all you guys, appreciate you joining me tonight. We're discussing the Washington Commanders versus Buffalo Bills. Man, there's so much to discuss. It's horrible. We got interrupted. It's like Ron Rivera was like, oh, man, you're telling them too much. You're telling them too much about this game. And we were listening to Ron Rivera's press conference interview talking about how he wants to pressure Josh Allen because of his escapability. He says, hey, look, Josh Allen is super comfortable rolling out to his right. So we need to cater our pass coverage to force him to roll out to the left. Appreciate the ones in the chat there, Carl, Max. You guys are all awesome. But this is definitely a tough task. And just like Carl was saying here, we were talking about before we got interrupted, but this tropical storm that's coming in and the high winds with the torrential rain, typically it's suited. Games like this have suited opposing teams like the Patriots, like the Steelers, like the Tennessee Titans, right? Like the Jets. We've seen cruddy weather situation games with when teams are good at running the football, when they have a good pair of running backs, when they cater their entire offense to running the football first. Really bad weather games like this really help them because statistically the data shows it's harder to complete passes. It's harder to catch balls. The data literally shows that there's less passing yards. There's less passing touchdowns. Everything goes down dramatically. And the problem with that is really the Buffalo Bills have been a high potent passing attack with Josh Allen. But this year we're different. This year, it is different because of the emergence of Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, even Quentin Morris, and 13 to 12 personnel. The Buffalo Bills are totally balling out. Even this 11 personnel is just absolutely huge, too. I mean, we're running the ball out of it. And I really do believe our running backs between James Cook, Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, they will all need to get involved this game. So you look at this defensive line that we've been hammering the table about, understanding that they could rush you from not only the outside, but the inside, knowing that Cybo's probably going to be one-on-one with Deron Payne, with Jonathan Allen. How is he going to hold up? And I really believe in this 12 personnel, we're going to have the chipping. We're going to have a lot of attention, just pass blocking for Josh Allen. I'm thinking Latavius Murray, Damian Harris standing next to Josh Allen all game long, helping out in case that pass rush does come from the interior. As a running back, you kind of sit there and wait. You have to read and see where that pass rush is coming from. If it's coming from the interior, you step in, you take the block. If it's coming from the outside, you step towards the outside and take the block. Whereas if you're blocking on the perimeter as a tight end, and the pass rush is from the inside, you're probably going to miss it. So Sophia says PFF has the Commanders as third-ranked running defense. It's super interesting when you look at the stats here is that the Bills are the best team going back to last year. Since 2022, the Buffalo Bills are number one in the NFL at third down efficiency. And guess what? The Washington Commanders, going back since last year, are the best defensively on third down efficiency. So they're the best on third down in the NFL as a defense. The Buffalo Bills offense is the best on offense on third down. So this is a perfect true tell sign of the modern day NFL offense meeting the modern day NFL defense. And which do you think is going to prevail? Normally it is the offense. And I really think Josh Allen hitting 9 different targets last week, spreading the ball around, Ken Dorsey utilizing this short passing game which is another facet of this 12 personnel. We spoke about it last year, the short passing game being an extension of the run game. You heard reporters in the interviews asking the coaches, oh, can the short passes be an extension of the run game? Yes, it can, but you have to complete those passes. And the people that are catching those passes need to have rack. They need to have run after catch ability. So the McKinseys, right? The Devin Singletaries, the guys that we were doing short little dink and dunks too, they just really weren't making the most of those opportunities. And so far, Deontay Hardy in that formation, I call it the Hardy Darty formation, with Hardy lined up as a running back right next to Josh Allen. We've tried that 4 times so far this season, and he's right around, I think, 10 yards. So we're really not mustering a lot out of that formation, especially when Josh Allen throws the ball out extremely quick. Now, to slow down the Commanders' pass rush in this game, and they use the same sort of philosophy as the Buffalo Bills, right? We always talk about our defensive ends, other than Kingsley Jonathan and Von Miller. They're more power to speed rushers, right? They keep you honest with their power first, and then they could beat you with their speed. AJ Epinesa, Greg Rousseau, Shaq Lawson, they're power speed rushers. And that is very similar to Chase Young, to Montez Sweat, even Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne, right? They're power first. They could bull rush you first. So we really need to help out having Latavius Murray, having Damian Harris sit back there, chip and block, probably stand on that right side, because Spencer Brown, man, I mean, he did an awesome job. One thing with Spencer Brown last week, he was playing like his job was on the line. He was playing like he had so much heart. He was so committed to each and every single play against Max Crosby. I mean, he just did an excellent job. And I think he was confident. He was confident throughout the game. Although we were sending him so much help, having tight ends block, having running backs chip, right? Even Saibo kind of catering his way over there a little bit at times. Spencer Brown was confident all throughout the game, and that is what the Bills need to do with Josh Allen. We need to remain confident. We need to remain cool and poised throughout this game. And what we need to do defensively to Sam Howell, who is now only 3 NFL starts. He's undefeated, 3-0 as a quarterback, but he is a little bit smaller. I think they have him listed at 6'2". On the Commanders website today, I was listening to Santana, who the reporters over there, a bunch of ex-players, and they were saying he's really like 6 foot, but he's very agile. He's got a strong enough arm. They said his throwing motion is very similar to Drew Brees. He's an over-the-top thrower, and meaning like he can kind of like arc the ball. A lot of quarterbacks, like even Josh Allen, it's more direct line. On his deep ball, he definitely try to float it. But he's got the trajectory of Sam Howell's passes is similar to Drew Brees. And that says a lot. It really, really says a lot about Sam Howell. And keep in mind, he threw to 10 different targets last week, completed passes to 10 different receivers last week. Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the best offensive coordinators working along Andy Reid. I mean, Andy Reid is an offensive genius. I mean, coming up with crazy plays year after year, just unbelievable knowledge that Eric Bieniemy has had the past several years, and he's implementing that to the Commanders. And they also said, like, they're chameleon type on offense too. Like, you really don't know how they're going to play. They can come out in 13 personnel, 12 personnel. They can come out in a spread offense. Their offense is capable of doing a little bit of everything. And they also said that Sam Howell is capable of being a game manager. And then if the game gets out of line, or if they get down by multiple possessions, he's capable of slinging the ball, making all the throws, and making 30 to 40 passes a game to come back to win. So the fact that the Commanders offense is able to be a chameleon, be able to change depending on how the game is unfolding, says a lot about their potential in games. It's not like the Bills are going to run up the score here, be up by 2 or more possessions, and feel comfortable. And knowing that Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio, Eric Bieniemy, the coaching experience that they have, and the character of players that they have really brought in, I mean, you're talking about guys that are bad. I mean, Brian Robinson, the running back, you're talking 6'2", 230-pound running back here, slugging things. I mean, the guy was shot a couple times, recovers from it, comes back to the NFL. Brian Robinson is an absolute freak of nature running back. Antonio Gibson is definitely a great running back, not as big, a little bit more elusive, maybe faster, but their running backs compared to our running backs, it's very, very close. You look at Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, James Cook is definitely going to be a huge, huge X factor today. Beth, I appreciate you tonight. Jordan, even fellow the Mafia, that's right. Sophia and Beth, how you guys doing? Gosh, if we play smart, we win. I love that comment. Totally true. Totally true. And, really taking care of the football, limit the penalties, especially if the weather is bad here. The Bills really need to showcase their running skills against the Commanders, who have a great front four. You got Deion Dawkins, Connor McGovern, Mitch Morris, Osiris Torrance, and Spencer Brown going out there. You could run right at this defensive line. To have Josh Allen sitting back there all game long, getting beaten. I don't know. I don't know if that's wise. So I think we kind of ease into this game, keep Josh Allen poised, keep him comfortable throughout the game. Similar to what the Commanders have said this week about Howell. Everything they do offensively is to make Howell comfortable, to make him feel like he's the best version of himself. That's exactly what Eric Bieniemy was saying this week. He's not so much having Howell understand opposing defenses, right? He's having him understand how to facilitate their offense, and he's doing everything he can to help Howell be the best quarterback that he could be for this upcoming year. And it says a lot that the team really rallied behind him last year and wanted him to start. They felt as though he deserved an opportunity to start on the Commanders last year. But just getting further more into these matchups here, I think that Sean McDermott could do a great job disguising his coverage on defense. He's one of the best pre-snap coaches in the NFL, defenses in the NFL at disguising pre-snap. You got Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Trey White. The communication there between Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano seems so flawless so far. I really think there's a lot this defense is going to do pre-snap to confuse Howell, a quarterback that is only entering his fourth NFL game. Sean McDermott definitely has the advantage there. So they could take all the coaching experience that they have over Sean McDermott and our coaching staff. I know we got Rob Borez. We got so many guys on this team. Aaron Cromer's got a lot of coaching experience too on this team. Eric Washington. But, Sam Howell, the inexperience at quarterback, you cannot tell me this kid is going to stand toe for toe for Josh Allen. So if it comes down to a throwing match, I'm taking Josh Allen, especially in this bad weather. And another huge leg up here. I know they have Terry McLaurin, top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, some would say. He's not the biggest. He's right around 6 foot, but he's fast and he has strong hands. He can catch the ball in traffic. Just an excellent route runner too, but he's going to be going against Trey White. He's going to be going against Teron Johnson. He's going to be going against Christian Benford. And I think these are some tough matchups here for Terry McLaurin. Christian Benford is going to be tested. And they also spoke about that, being that Benford is really the unknown on this defense right now. Everybody else, what they're made of. Benford is still trying to make a name for himself in the NFL. So they have Terry McLaurin, they have Dotson, and they also Jahan Dotson, and they have Curtis Samuel playing that slot. Logan Thomas is also there. A familiar name with the Buffalo Bills here, was once a Buffalo Bill, converted to tight end. I mean, Logan Thomas at 6'6", 6'7", got a concussion last week, a huge blow to the head last week. So he's going to be out, and that's a huge loss for them in this matchup. they're rolling with a backup tight end, John Bates. And John Bates is not a receiving tight end. He's more of a run blocking tight end. They do have another one there, Cole Turner, but not a lot of experience, not a lot of game experience behind them. How much are they going to trust him to be a receiving tight end in this game? I doubt as much as a Logan Thomas. That's why Logan Thomas was a starter. And every time they rolled out John Bates, they even said teams are kind of predicting the run because he is more of a run blocking tight end. Like he could still go out and catch passes, but Logan Thomas definitely being out, and the next best tight end is a run blocking tight end for the Commanders. The game is going to be poor weather. They have Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson. The way you beat the Buffalo Bills is by running the ball, winning the time of possession, keeping Josh Allen on the sidelines, right? So, but yeah, get your comments, questions in the chat here, ripping through the Commanders depth chart, some highlights and matchups. Stephon Diggs going against a rookie potentially. We're going to get into that next. But Beth says, I'd like to see Allen having fun too. When he's loose and joking with the guys, the chemistry is mind blowing. I totally get it. Yep. You gotta get Josh Allen comfortable, and seeing what we did last week, having all that extra protection and pass blocking for Josh Allen. Josh Allen was able to sit back there comfortable, to sit back there nice and loose, like you said, make clear cut decisions, not really necessarily feel rushed. And, that's what it's all about. It's about catering to the quarterback, catering to the best player on this team, catering to our franchise who've allocated so much money to. There's a reason why Josh Allen is the best in the NFL. Carl says Deontay Hardy hasn't really been involved much so far. Got to use that speed. Do you think that Ken Dorsey will resurrect the gadget play with Hardy doing jet sweeps like Isaiah McKenzie used to? Well, he better, because that was a great play. And supposedly Hardy is faster than McKenzie. And that's what those jet sweeps are there to do, right? You want to stretch defenses, especially when they're playing zone. And all defenses have been playing zone against the Buffalo Bills with those two high safeties, right? They're refusing to get beat deep. So when you have this zone coverage, you really need to start stretching those zones, stretching the area where Josh Allen could find the receivers. When those windows are very small to start a game, you start a game and those zones are very, very small. You got to be extra precise. But as soon as you start connecting on long vertical passes, or as you mentioned here, the jet sweep, you're not only stretching teams vertically with deep passes, you're stretching them horizontally with the jet sweeps. Because if you put a man in motion, they have to respect the fact that you could just hand it right off to them. And it just naturally starts spreading those zones and the zone coverage when you pass it. And I really think, I know we haven't implemented it so far, Carl, but I definitely think that is on our radar with Deontay Hardy. That Hardy-Darty formation with him lined up as a running back, really the production out of it hasn't been much, but I think it still is keeping defenses a little honest in some ways. Beth says, Howell is talented. I give him the fact that he's intrigued me enough to see Washington doing well, but he's still very unknown. And like you said, Dan, his experience is against him. Totally agree. Yep. I mean, fourth game starting, Sam Howell, he's doing excellent for being only 3 games deep. He's undefeated, 3-0. There's a lot of hype around him. A lot of people are comparing him to even Patrick Mahomes, some people said, because he could throw his arm, he could find different creases between people and stuff. And he's agile. Like he could tuck it down. He could run with it. And another note from some people talking, some draft analysts, they were saying he doesn't turn the ball over. Like he's smart enough to stand in the pocket, take a sack. Like he's not afraid to get hit, but he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. It's a very rare event that he puts the ball in harm's way. But again, very, very little experience. And considering he's going to be going against this Buffalo Bills defensive line, and that's one weak point for the Commanders is their offensive line. And their offensive line is more run blocking, right? When you look at what they struggle with, they struggle at speedier edge rushers. the Washington Commanders can definitely get exposed by a speedier edge rusher. So will we see Kingsley Jonathan maybe start this game? We see Leonard Floyd was a little bit banged up this week with an ankle. Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, Shaq Lawson. These guys are a little bit more slower. They're not necessarily that twitchy Von Miller, Kingsley Jonathan type, which I guess Washington really, really struggles at. Beth says, I feel Hardy is a better gadget guy than McKenzie was. He definitely is. I think he definitely poses a little bit bigger of a threat. He could run widespread route tree compared to McKenzie. We just wait. That run after catch ability, we're just waiting to see him break one. Yeah, prayers. I know. Trayvon Diggs, Stephon Diggs, younger brother tearing his ACL. That's freaking horrible news. Nick Chubb. I actually had Nick Chubb in both my fantasy leagues. Horrible. One of the best, if not the best runner in the NFL. I love his playing style, Nick Chubb. Such a great player. Carl says injury report on WGR 550 this morning. Bills head coach Sean McDermott said that Dawson Knox, Micah Hyde, Spencer Brown, Terrell Bernard, edge rusher Leonard Floyd would be all participants in practice. And they were all full goes. Everybody was a full go at practice today for the Buffalo Bills. And I mean, it's signaling that they're all going to be starting against the Commanders here. And Sean McDermott wants to bring his A game against his previous head coach and coworker. I mean, you got to know. You got to bring it for that game. That's for sure. Awesome news, Carl. Thank you for the update. Curtis says Brian Robinson is so good, but what we saw Milano was able to do against Josh Jacobs and how our defense handled that run game. Negative yardage for Josh Jacobs, the NFL's leading rusher last year. I mean, are you kidding me? Brian Robinson is a great running back, but he's got a similar build to Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs, again, leading rusher in the NFL last year. Brian Robinson was not. He was not the leading rusher in the NFL last year. Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson, some great running backs here. And the other point I want to make is how concerned Bills Mafia was having two coverage linebackers, getting rid of Tremaine Edmonds. Everyone's like, are we going to be able to stop the run? So knowing what we did against the Raiders and Josh Jacobs, the NFL's leading rusher last year, going for negative yards. I mean, are you freaking kidding me right now? That is so huge. So the proof is the Bills with Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver, Tim Settle, Poona Ford, Jordan Phillips, all these guys are good enough to stop the run, and we don't necessarily need a big, heavy, thick linebacker like Tremaine Edmonds. The other thing I did pull up today on Tremaine Edmonds, throughout his entire career, including this season, he only has 5 career interceptions, Tremaine Edmonds. Terrell Bernard, starts 2 games and he already has an interception. I think that's off to a great start. And I think that's exactly what the Buffalo Bills were missing. It's nothing against Tremaine Edmonds. We're always talking about the recipe to win, having the right players on your team that fit that recipe too, though. And Tremaine Edmonds, Josh Allen being drafted the same year, we really didn't know what this team was going to translate to or evolve into. This offense has evolved since then, and we've evolved because Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the NFL, and he can slang that ball. He can make all the throws. He's progressed to the point where this offense can win us games. And what ends up happening is it puts other teams in a hole where they have to pass. So why have a Tremaine Edmonds who's poor against pass coverage, who only has 5 interceptions throughout his entire career? Why pay this guy all the money in the world when he doesn't necessarily fit the right recipe to win? When Josh Allen was a rookie, Tremaine Edmonds was the right recipe because we weren't passing the ball like freaking crazy. We were still trying to run it, right? We had Shady, right? We were not trying to put Josh Allen in harm's way. So I think the evolution of this team, having 2 coverage type linebackers, ultimately fits this team. And I think we're going to see an explosion in turnovers, especially from the linebacker crew. Matt Milano and TB are just going to continue to get INTs for the Buffalo Bills. and they're going to rack it up this year. They're going to rack it up this year. That is without a doubt. Without a doubt. Beth says Milano is a beast. Shyquell says the Bills are offensively are pretty good, but you all have to understand Washington D are totally different and better than the Raiders. Our front seven are no joke, so we'll get the last laugh. Watch. You know, it's funny. I had my cousins grew up just outside DC. The one is a Dallas Cowboys fan. The one is a diehard Washington Commanders fan. You know, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. And I know how dangerous having a great defensive line is, and especially in bad weather situations. If it is going to be monsoon type weather and the rain and all that, I'm definitely worried about it. I'm worried about it, but I know the Bills have talent on every single aspect of this of the ball. And one aspect I want to get into here is Stephon Diggs going against a young rookie cornerback, Emmanuel Forbes, starting for Washington in this game. Emmanuel Forbes, you know, he's got good hands. You know, he's got good, he can intercept it. Something Sauce Gardner cannot do. Sauce Gardner really has not been coming down with a lot of balls. Even balls hitting him in the hands, he can't catch it. But Emmanuel Forbes, a young rookie corner starting, likely going to be going against Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis in this matchup. He's getting coached up on the sidelines. And I watched the Commanders mic'd up series for this past game. They had Benjamin St. Justy mic'd up for this game, and you could listen to the coaches constantly talking to Emmanuel Forbes, talking about the screw-ups, talking about, hey, you know, you should really do this. You shouldn't have done this. If the safety's inside, you have to go outside, right? They were coaching him up during the game. So I know there are mistakes that rookie Emmanuel Forbes is going to make in this game. And you're talking about mistakes against Josh Allen, against Gabe Davis, or Stephon Diggs. That is a huge advantage for the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know there's safeties. Cameron Curl, Derek Forrest are very decent safeties at the back end. Kendall Fuller, too, is a great veteran cornerback, too, offering a little bit of leadership to that team for you guys. But really another weak point for the Commanders are their linebackers. I mean, their linebackers are nothing to strike fear about. But what ends up happening? Defensive line forces the ball to come out quick. So technically, you know, the corners, the linebackers, they don't have to sit on routes. They could break on the ball. They could really try to time routes and jump routes. So we definitely have to be cautious of that. But I know and trust Josh Allen, especially seeing what we saw last week. Ken Dorsey, number one, has the scheme to dial up a short passing attack, to take what the defense is going to give us, to march all the way down the field and score points. And it's tough because usually offensively, it takes all 11 for the play to be successful. Defensively, I mean, you could say it does, but sometimes even if a defender's out of the play, someone else can come in and still make the tackle, and it's not a game breaker, right? But offensively, you need every single person to be on the same page, to march all the way down the field, to call a high number of plays and score points. That is a tough task. And the NFL has really taken a cue from the Buffalo Bills. That's been Sean McDermott's identity as a defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Man says all other football fans always be on the Bills. Yes, sir. The Bills Mafia fan base is never in other football fans' chats. That's weird. I know they creep it. I think they like us. I think they like us, Buffalo Man. I think that's what it is. They like us breaking through tables. They like us because we're the best fan base, donating to charities, you know, neighborly. Beth says, Dan, I'm close to really. Oh gosh, you guys are funny. Hey, let's see. Miami. No, we got some harsh fan bases out there. We got some harsh fan bases. Commanders are harsh, too. I'll tell you right now, my cousin, he talks like his team up, the Commanders up. And, you know, it's very interesting to see how this game is going to really shake out. I know the Bills definitely have a huge advantage here offensively with Stephon Diggs going against that young rookie, Emmanuel Forbes, even Kendall Fuller. I mean, he's a veteran, he's wise and everything, but he's not that athletic. I mean, Stephon Diggs is much better than Kendall Fuller, than Emmanuel Forbes. and when you consider that the Bills have just been implementing such a diverse offense here with 12 personnel, 13 personnel, spreading it out at times. I mean, I really think we're going to do a great job. Even Jack Del Rio, I know the experience this defensive coordinator has, Jack Del Rio, but the Bills are going to be too good. The Bills are going to be too good in this game. And the weather does concern me, but it's concerned me more in years past because we haven't had the short passing attack, right? We've been more of like a medium to deep route tree with Josh Allen. And those are hard to complete anyways. And then in the rain and in bad weather, statistically that goes down. But, we're not doing that anymore. We have a short passing game. Josh Allen is got the scheme with Ken Dorsey in year 2, cooking things up, doing such a freaking excellent job. Make sure you guys answer on that poll really quick too. I'm going to actually end the poll just to show you here. I know we were kind of complaining about some other fans in the chat. It looks like we may have had 7% of them. 92% say the Bills are going to win this game. 7% says no. I'm definitely thinking the Bills are definitely going to pull this one out. Let's see. Any guys, comments, questions, concerns? We're rocking out tonight. The Washington Commanders versus the Buffalo Bills in some hurricane-like weather here. They have Brian Robinson. They have Antonio Gibson. But guess what? The Bills have a new identity here. A few more wrinkles in 2023 with Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, and James Cook emerging to be one of the best backs in the NFL. James Cook, I believe he's top 10 or he's top 5 in the NFL. I'm going to look it up right now so we could check it out. But 2023 NFL leading rushers, James Cook is right up there right now, guys. He's doing an excellent, excellent job. Gonna see. Yes, I buy stocks. Hey, I'm always buying stocks. Cook be running, getting better and better each game. He really is. He really is. And his pass protection, too. I mean, he's doing so good, James Cook. Unbelievable stuff. I mean, he could run routes coming out of the backfield, doing some amazing freaking things. Amazing, amazing things. Here we go. I got it. I got it right here, folks. I'm going to pull it up so you guys could actually see it. James Cook. There he is. Rushing leaders. He is 5th in the NFL. One spot behind Nick Chubb, who we all know what happened with Nick Chubb. He's out for this year. James Cook, I mean, he's the 4th best running back in the NFL right now. Are you kidding me? That's absolutely dynamite. James Cook, 4th best running back in the NFL right now. We could see in the total amount of sacks. This is kind of scary. Guy that we're going against this week, 3rd in the NFL, tied for 3rd. Montez Sweat with the sacks. And we already mentioned that Ed Oliver is 2nd in the NFL with total quarterback pressures. Chase Young is 3rd in the NFL with total quarterback pressures. But here we could see it. Montez Sweat, 3rd in the NFL with total sacks. Anyone else on their team showing up here? We could see Leonard Floyd is actually tied for 23rd in the NFL with 1.5 sacks. And that's kind of been a little bit of a letdown with the Buffalo Bills so far. I guess overall total sack numbers have been kind of low, but the overall pressures have been absolutely, absolutely insane for the Bills. We still are pressuring these quarterbacks an awful lot. Like Ed Oliver, I mean, it's just absolutely insane. You guys could see here. I don't know if you guys are on Twitter or X or what other platforms you guys are on, but you guys could see I retweeted this today. NFL pressure rate leaders. Okay. And you could see Ed Oliver, 23.5%. And just below him is Chase Young at 22.6%. So it really shows you how dominant Ed Oliver has been this year. And you look at the other names: DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, Chris Jones. I mean, I know we're only week 2, but that's absolutely huge news. And then you could also see here too. I mean, just kind of goes to show you how dominant and how a defensive line can really affect the quarterback. It's not always about sacks. So yeah, 1.5 sacks for Montez Sweat just last week. Just last week versus Denver, Montez Sweat got 1.5 sacks. Chase Young got 1.5 sacks. Deron Payne had a sack. Jonathan Allen had 6 pressures, and you see all the pressures there too. So, it's not only about sacks, it's about quarterback pressures and understanding that Ed Oliver has such a great pressure rate this year, second best in the NFL. It's freaking huge. Carl says Maddie Glad did not get fired for the hot mic incident. She was on One Bills Live with Chris Brown. I'm glad she is around. I enjoy your commentary. I think Maddie Glab has honestly done the best job of any reporter that we've brought in, especially as a Buffalo Bills employee working alongside Chris Brown and Steve Tasker. I'm glad that she's here to stay too, but yeah, I mean, that story went wild. It went all the way to TMZ. I mean, that it was seen by millions and millions of people. But I believe in second chances. I believe people deserve a second chance to make things right, or at least have an ability to try to make things right. So I'm glad that we did that. Beth says, hurricane weather, we dig out of blizzards to make the game. I think we got this. I love that comment. I got the tractor right in the shed there. That's my weapon of choice. The tractor with that front bucket, just moving all the snow. I was digging out all my neighbors last year, man. We got dumped, and I'm like 3 miles from the stadium here too. It's crazy. Cook close to no 2 now. I know he's getting there. He's super close to the second best rusher in the NFL this year. It's absolutely unbelievable. And you have to keep in mind too, it's his receiving ability as well. Like he catches the ball out of the backfield. And I joked last night, we were live, and I was joking like, hey, look, James Cook, Chris Johnson, he reminds me of Chris Johnson of the Houston Oilers, of the Tennessee Titans back in the day. Chris Johnson, he had a nickname of CJ2K because he had almost 2,000 all-purpose yards, 1,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. It was a little bit more than 1,000 yards rushing, but you get the point. So it was CJ2K because of the 2,000 all-purpose yards that season. And I was joking like JC2K, James Cook 2K, because James Cook could rush for 1,000. He could receive for 1,000 yards or right around there, give or take. And someone in the chat last night was arguing, saying, no way, it's impossible. And fortunately, one of you pulled up the stat that Darren Sproles holds the record in the NFL for the most all-purpose yards in a season, and it was 2,700 all-purpose yards. When you coupled his rushing and his receiving, he had 2,700 all-purpose yards in a single season. So don't tell me that it's not possible for James Cook to hit 2K all-purpose yards. JC 2K, I think, is definitely feasible here. Craziness. Absolutely crazy. Stefan Diggs is not only wearing the number 14, he is currently 14th in the NFL in total receiving yards. You can see here, Stefan Diggs, total receiving yards. He's at 168. Brandon Ayuk is just ahead of him. Jalen Waddle is just below him there. So, I mean, we're doing halfway decent. It's only week 2. But I think we're doing some big-time things. Gabe Davis is 30th in the NFL. See James Cook on there yet, but comments, questions, concerns, Commanders versus Buffalo Bills is definitely starting to take shape here. It's going to be a tough, hard-nosed battle. 2 coaches going against one another with a little bit of history. It's going to be a great game. Buy Stock says Cook will take a lot of pressure off Allen. This running attack really needs to do their thing. Take that pressure off Allen by running it. Lessen the blows on Allen, and also play action. The new thing with the Bills is Josh Allen under center. I don't think Josh Allen ever felt comfortable enough to be under center because, one, he didn't trust the offensive line. He didn't trust the people in front of him. But now with Connor McGovern, with Osiris Torrance, being under center and calling a play action, the quarterback has to turn his back to the play. And I know a lot of quarterbacks have problems with that. They would rather do that RPO when they're already in the gun, when they're already in shotgun. They can keep their eyes ahead of them, right? The ball gets snapped to them. They get the ball. They can fake the handoff to the running back, and they consider that as their play action. But it happens so quick, it's not a true play action. You really have a quarterback under center utilizing the play action when he turns his back to the play and you fake that handoff to the running back. It really disguises the run and makes that defense feel as though you are going to run the ball. And it allows more time for our wide receivers, for our weapons to create space, to make an easier throw for Josh Allen, to make a higher percentage completion throw for Josh Allen. And, you still have to have a running attack, though. You have to have the threat that you can actually run the ball. And clearly this year is a lot better. Running back room than last year. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, James Cook as a rookie compared to this year. Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, and James Cook in year 2. I mean, it's clearly a better running back room that we've had. Plus, offensive line has been beefed up with Connor McGovern. Spencer Brown, too, is definitely putting his heart out there. That's for sure. He's playing hard. He's playing really hard. Beth says, random thought. I'd love to see it at some point if we get the Josh Allen pass rusher from Jacksonville Jaguars. Not only is he amazing, but he would literally have the alien protecting the ball on both sides. Yes, man. Yeah. Josh Allen on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I thought when he was coming out in that year's NFL draft, I was like, oh, how funny would that be? We have a Josh Allen on offense, but Josh Allen on defense. The announcers would be saying Josh Allen all game long, which would be kind of great. And hopefully a dream does not die. Hopefully it does maybe happen. Hey, I'll take every pass rusher we can get. And, we're doing all this without Von Miller. I think that does go missed. Teams are happy beating the Buffalo Bills. You saw how happy the Jets were, jumping up and down, freaking out like they won a playoff game, which they haven't done in decades. But you know what? They beat us without Von Miller. I mean, Von Miller, what is he like one of the best players in the NFL, and the Bills are without him right now. So JC, Chris Johnson, 2K, had 2K yards rushing. That's incredible in 2009. So, yeah, I mean, it shows you it is possible. It is possible to even have 2,000 yards rushing. But they did utilize him in that screen game, in the short passing game, and I think it's very, very possible for James Cook to have 2,000 all-purpose yards by the time this season ends. And I'm really saying right now, Dalton Kincaid is on track to shatter every Buffalo Bills rookie tight end record in franchise history. You look at it, and he's just been balling out. He's been freaking balling out. Comments, questions, concerns, let me know in the chat. Checking over some stats, talking about the Buffalo Bills versus Commanders game here, which is said to be monsoon, rainy weather. How are the Buffalo Bills going to fare against Brian Robinson? Brian Robinson had an interview this week, and he even said it, like, he likes getting in a rhythm. And if they get comfortable, if you get this team in a rhythm, the Commanders team in a rhythm, as the game goes on, he kind of feels himself out. And it's Sam Howell too, but Brian Robinson was saying, like, yeah, like to start games, I might start slow, but the more carries, he's like, I feel like every carry I get better and better. He gets better and better the more and more touches that he gets. So the Bills really need to stop and halt any momentum and soak up any momentum that the Commanders have in this game. You don't want to give them any glimmer of freaking hope in this game. You don't want to show any light at the end of the tunnel for them in this game, because they're going to race straight towards it fast and hard. So Brian Robinson, it takes a little bit to get going. It's just like his running style. He's bigger. He's a bigger physical back. And what do they say about bigger physical backs? You almost want to slow them up in the backfield, because if they come at you with a whole head of steam, it's not good. It's not good. You basically want to make them bounce. You want to make them, not hit a hole. When they step and they drive right towards that hole, dangerous stuff can happen. So we definitely got to slow them down before he even gets to the line of scrimmage. Nate says O-line needs to play the best on Sunday, especially with the bad weather. This is such a good test for the Bills. Last week, the Raiders and Max Crosby, yes, they were without Chandler Jones. The week before that, and the Jets' wave of defenders, including Quinnen Williams. There's just so many freaking guys on the Jets, too. I think the Bills' offensive line has had a tough task so far in 2023, but those 2 games has prepared us for this moment, for Chase Young, for Montez Sweat, for Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and the front 7. They're physical. They're extremely physical. But Ken Dorsey dialing up crazy game plans, crazy creative plays, and the short passing game for the Bills is on fire. It's on fire too. So we could slow down their pass rush by 1, running the football, 2, by getting the ball out quick, and 3, by chipping them with tight ends, by having Latavius Murray as a running back hang back in pass protection, as Damian Harris in pass protection. These are big physical backs that could really help solidify the pass rush here. So Carl says Josh Allen had 3 carries for 7 yards last game. With the weather, I expect him to run it a bit more on Sunday. Do you think he will be smart and slide or get out of bounds to avoid contact? He better not be taking any unnecessary hits. I gotta say, and he's been known to do that too. Just running towards the sidelines and he gets popped. So yes, I agree. Josh Allen might have to do a little bit of running the football this game. I think he's definitely going to feel the pressure. I feel like Josh Allen is definitely going to have to utilize his escapability this game. I already mentioned earlier in this feed, but Ron Rivera specifically coming out saying how sound they have to be in their pass rush, and that they are likely going to cater their pass rush to the right side to force Josh Allen to scramble left. They said they don't want Josh Allen scrambling right. They're going to really force him to scramble left. So however the Buffalo Bills feel as though they can take advantage of that, maybe draw plays to the left, a draw where we think we're going to pass it and then we run it left, because that defensive line might be catering slightly towards the right on Josh Allen. But yes, I think the weather, Josh Allen is going to have to do a little backyard football here, be a little bit creative. He might have to make a little bit of magic happen, but we have to settle into it. We got to settle into it and not do anything too crazy from the start. I don't think Washington has the players on this team to run away with it. And I don't think really, with the defense that we have, I don't think really many teams in the NFL have enough talent to run away with it on the Buffalo Bills. You could talk about the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Cowboys, 49ers, some top-notch teams, but we're talking about the Washington Commanders. I really don't believe they had the talent to run away with this game. So if Josh Allen could just be patient throughout the game, wait until maybe like the third quarter, fourth quarter. If the game is close, then, with the game's starting to get on the line, then utilize your playmaking abilities. Don't try to do it early in the game. Don't try to thread the needle early in the game, because we know the momentum. We know how things could flip. And, the crowd too, whole crowd factor, keeping them in the game. You don't want that. You don't want that. Momentum is a real thing. But appreciate your comments. Keep them coming here. Comments, questions, concerns. Bills versus Commanders. Sam Howell entering his 4th NFL career start as a starting quarterback here in the NFL, going against Sean McDermott, who is entering his 100th game as a head coach for the Buffalo Bills and first-time defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. think this is definitely going to be paying some dividends. Young, inexperienced quarterback going against Sean McDermott, calling plays the first time here with 2 pass coverage linebackers, TB and Matt Milano, who's been on freaking fire. Are you kidding me? Matt Milano is a dang freak. Matt Milano is a freak of nature. That is for sure. Fred says, just run the ball with our backs, our big backs. Like that comment. Latavius Murray, Damian Harris, they're doing such an excellent job. And I think this is kind of the writing was on the wall when the season started. James Cook, he was going to be that all-purpose back. A lot of people were like, all-purpose back. He could play all 3 downs, James Cook. He's proved it. And, James Cook, anytime he touches it, he could take it to the house. He could score a touchdown. And I really think he's going to be that yard. He's going to be the yards running back, right? He's going to be the running back that we utilize to march down the field. When we get in the red zone or if we get in short yardage situations, that's when we see Damian Harris. That's when we see Latavius Murray come out, especially in the red zone. I really believe we're going to see a lot of yards for James Cook and more touchdowns from Latavius Murray and Damian Harris. To start the season, I thought Damian Harris was fully capable of scoring double-digit touchdowns this upcoming season, but seeing how we're utilizing 3 backs, something that we really haven't done in years past. We've only kind of rolled with 2 backs during games, whether it was Zach Moss and Devin Singletary or Frank Gore and Devin Singletary or LaShawn McCoy and Devin Singletary. It was only really 2 backs, and maybe occasionally we would give a carry to the other back. But the way this is being scripted out in 2023, the Bills are offering a lot of carries to all of our running backs. They're all getting a shot to really utilize their skills during games. But again, short yardage situations, maybe it's a little different this week because we're discussing that they could pass rush. The Commanders have interior pass rush. They have exterior on the edge pass rush. So what better way to chip and protect Josh Allen than having a running back be next to him, like a Latavius Murray, like a Damian Harris, even be in a gun formation with a running back to Josh Allen's left and his right. I mean, why not have Reggie Gilliam on his left and Latavius Murray on his right in a shotgun type formation and just offer both of them in pass protection? I mean, the proof is there that last week we had 7 blockers in pass protection and 13 personnel. Like the Bills literally had 5 offensive linemen and 2 tight ends in pass protection, with Trent Sherfield and James Cook being the only ones going out for passes. I mean, that's insane. It's absolutely insane. And when you understand that the Bills have not done that ever in years past, we're definitely going to start seeing a little bit more creative plays here. We have to do whatever we can to protect Josh Allen in this game. We saw it chipping with our tight ends on the outside. We even motioned Damian Harris to the tight end spot to pass block last week too as well. So rewatching the game, doing the game film study, I see what Ken Dorsey's trying to do to slow down the pass rush, and I envision Josh Allen in the shotgun and with 2 running backs on each side of him in pass protection. I'm definitely seeing that go down in this game to slow down the pass rush here. But again, tons of experience on the Commanders coaching staff between Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator, and Ron Rivera, the head coach. There's just so much experience over there. So, to say the Bills are going to be outcoached, can the Bills be outcoached in this game? They're fully capable of outcoaching the Buffalo Bills. So it's that much more important for the Buffalo Bills to outplay. The players just need to outplay the Commanders. We need to play smart. We cannot take turnovers. We cannot have a ton of penalties. The Bills didn't even get penalized until late in the 3rd quarter last week. So that's huge. And we all know what they're going to try to do is run the football with Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, keep Josh Allen on the sidelines, They want to win the time of possession, rely on that defense. They want to try and keep the game close and steal it away in the final seconds. That's how they're going to win. They're not going to run away with the game. They're not going to run away with the game. But facts are too, if the Bills do get ahead, if we do get ahead by 2 or more possessions, Sam Howell is a capable enough quarterback to come back. He can make all the throws. He can run with it. He's got a strong enough arm. And, they're not going to give up. That's the character on their team. They got a bunch of tough-nosed players on that team where they're not going to give up too as well. So it's going to be a 60-minute battle all throughout the game in tough, cruddy weather. The Buffalo Bills need to do whatever they can to win the turnover differential and also not get penalized. Focus on getting yardage every single down, every single moment that they're out there. They need 3 to 4 yards minimum, absolute minimum in this game. So I think we have a great shot at winning this. We just can't beat ourselves. We definitely can't beat ourselves. Sean McDermott, leading us through the stadium here. I know Josh Allen's never played at this stadium before. It's one of the few that he's never played at, he said. So that's going to be a little bit new, getting used to the grass field out there as well. And, I don't know. I like the fact that it's grass, but in the weather too, we got to see that it has kind of been one thing with grass fields too, is that they don't drain as well as turf as well. So you talk about it being a sloppy game, not only because of the wet, and the data proves that receiving yards drop dramatically in rain and wind. This is a grass field. It's a grass field combined with rain and wind. How well is that grass field going to drain compared to turf when they got drains all over the place? It's perfectly pitched, so there's a lot. There's definitely a lot. So when you look at the game, though, I think the Bills clearly have an advantage at quarterback. Josh Allen is clearly the better quarterback than Sam Howell. When you look at the defensive line going against the Buffalo Bills offensive line, right, I think that's definitely an advantage for them. But the Bills do have a decent enough defensive line. Clearly, Ed Oliver has a higher pressure rate than Chase Young this year. So it kind of shows you what's going on there. And then Leonard Floyd on the outside, Greg Rousseau playing both the right and left sides, stunning over the center at times and getting his hands up too. And then 2 coverage linebackers for the Bills. Our linebackers are definitely better than their linebackers. A rookie cornerback guarding Stephon Diggs or Gabe Davis this matchup. Come on now. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And don't forget about Khalil Shakir. Khalil Shakir coming away with that 1 reception for 10 yards and a touchdown last week. I think he earned an opportunity to get more targets. And that slot position, I think the Bills could definitely do some big-time things in that slot. Greg Cassell mentioned that they do have a big nickel as well. Here in Buffalo, we call it the Buffalo nickel with Taylor Rapp instead of Taron Johnson. So they have a big nickel package as well. But again, I think the Bills definitely have the leg up here in a lot of departments. Our secondary clearly overall a lot better than their secondary. They're not respecting Christian Benford from the interviews that I've heard. I think Christian Benford, this could be a game where Christian Benford gets an interception. Carl says the key to the game may be the Bills' pass rush, as Howell is a quarterback who is prone to taking sacks, and the Commanders' offensive line isn't the best. We may be able to get plenty of pressures. I love that comment, Carl. Great comment. Couldn't agree more. Howell is definitely known to take sacks. He's known to just hang in the pocket. And it's one thing it takes as a quarterback, the courage to stand in there to deliver a pass. Now, a lot of quarterbacks, they get afraid. They dirt it. They'll turn their shoulder. But he definitely will stand in there and try to slang that ball. I think the Bills will definitely disguise some coverage pre-snap, do some things that Howell has clearly never seen in his 3-game NFL career. Sean McDermott definitely has a huge advantage with that. I mean, the quarterback is probably the most important position on any NFL team. It is the ultimate team sport, but Josh Allen compared to Howell, You can't even compare the two at this point. Can't even compare the two at this point. Bills clearly have a freaking advantage over Sam Howell offensively. I know Eric Bieniemy is a great offensive coordinator working with Patrick Mahomes, but he is in year one. He still is learning Terry McLaurin. He still is learning Curtis Samuel and Jihad Dotson, right? He's learning how to implement all these guys into their scheme. Even Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson. I think there's a little bit of feeling out that's still going on with the Commanders team. But again, I just wanted to go live and discuss how important it is for the Buffalo Bills to dictate and command this game against the Commanders. And the reason being, number one, we discussed it, the poor weather situation and the fact that they have the right recipe to win in poor weather situations with Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, a run blocking offensive line, and some great offensive genius with Eric Bieniemy. That is really how they win games and rely on that defensive line to sack the quarterback, to have pressures, to win the turnover battle. So I think it is super, super important for the Buffalo Bills to dictate, to command the Commanders for this week, to make sure that we put the pressure on them, that we facilitate this game. We don't have Howell feeling comfortable all game long. We really need to force him to pass. We need to run up the score however way we can do that and force him to pass the ball against Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde, Trey White, Christian Benford, Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, as well as our pass rush, who is doing awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's stream. If you did, hit like and subscribe. If you guys like my beat where your feet are, we got long sleeve. We got hoodies. This is the stadium edition one. You guys can kind of see the Bill Stadium in it. I got the link down below in the description. Buffalo Fan Shop. Trying to go live. I might be going live nightly, to be honest. So comment below if you guys want me to go live every night just to discuss football. I do drop videos every single day during the week. Just discussing random things, doing game film study reviews as well, breaking down the all-22 game film, seeing the different wrinkles that Ken Dorsey's coming out with, the different defensive packages that Sean McDermott has here. And man, everything is starting to shape up. Definitely going to be going live tomorrow, be live during the games as well. But if you're not live and you're watching this, hit like, subscribe. Appreciate you guys, and go Bills.